everybody. Thank you for clicking on Doofus After Dark for Wednesday, the 6th day of September. And Chris is going to be joining us around 9 p.m. with our situational update, situational report, sit rep. That's situational report, sit rep of what's going on around the world, with specific attention to certain hotspots, if you will. And we're going to be doing this on Wednesdays every week because, well, it's just, the climate as far as geopolitical warrants that we update each and every week. And we got some things to talk about tonight. Let's get started. Let's just start off with our X files, our X Twitter file, formerly Twitter. And we start off with a reminder that tomorrow night the NFL kicks off officially. Thursday night, first game of the season tomorrow night. And if you're an NFL fan, it's a pretty big deal. So a shirt for sale if you're a Bears fan. Go Bears. Duh, Bears. Brett Favre stole money from poor people. Go Bears. For those of you that may not know what that's about, you can Google Brett Favre, and basically he was allegedly involved with a deal to take money from the welfare fund, the emergency welfare fund of the state, and give it to a college so that his daughter could have a private volleyball workout area. So the volleyball team would have their own workout area. So that's what that is about. And it's only $7.50. If you're a Bears fan, you can make fun of Brett Favre and give to a good cause. So that's from Joe Mills. And we're starting out a little bit light because we do have some heavy stuff. This one is not so heavy. Peter Navarro had a great time leaving court today. This comes from Wu-Tang is for the Children. And I'm going to pause this for just a second because we are going to see the whole thing here. For those that watch the show on a regular basis, oftentimes I'll make a joke, not really a funny haha joke, but a joke reference to when a news story is from the AP and say it's from the Associated Press, not Anarchy Princess. For those that still don't know who Anarchy Princess is, well, she's becoming internet content on a grand scale. And this particular clip comes from C-SPAN. And she has been, Peter Navarro has been her target the last couple of times. She's been incredibly effective trolling, if you will, Peter Navarro. The last time she just had a sign that said Trump lost and you know it. And that video, that clip on various platforms went to the millions of views. I'm sure this one will as well. This is Anarchy Princess with Peter Navarro, part 2. And hang on a second here. Producing and hosting at the same time. Here we go.
The trial will begin tomorrow. That's the good news. It wasn't a lengthy jury impanelment. And we'll see y'all tomorrow. Take care. Oh, one last thing. I forgot. I buried the lead. Everybody.
This is Anarchy Princess.
Witness stand is inside. Thank you. WW.
Instead of Proud Boys, she has Prison Boys, and she has Trump lost. Lying Pete needs money.
www.defendpeter.com. Defend.
Come on, my man. Cut that out, man. Let the man talk, man. Let the man talk. Let him talk, man.
It's great.
He has every right to talk. Come on. Don't
Thank
do
you,
that,
sir.
man. Let the man talk, man. Let the man talk. He
Please
still
play
got a chance
this
to talk.
The truth
on
conductor,
your channels.
a
Because
well-known
this is just
speaker.
wrong. I'm trying to
Let him
speak
talk.
about serious constitutional issues with you. Clown with a whistle, witch with a broom. You go figure. So, defendpeter.com. Please go there, help support this fight against the attack on the separation of powers. These trials are very expensive.
Peter's using my image to grift off me. Send me money.
Continue.
These trials are very expensive. That's part of the Democrats' lawfare against us.
All right.
Now note, AP's not blowing the whistle. Witches be tripping is the shirt she is wearing with a broom, so his reference.
Yeah, it's time to go. All right, we'll see you tomorrow, and hopefully,
Same time, same place.
hopefully, free speech will.
DC don't like fascists. DC don't like fascists. DC don't like
Dude.
fascists.
Just play this, okay? I'll see y'all tomorrow. Thank you.
See you tomorrow, loser.
So that was Anarchy Princess with Peter Navarro, round number 2. You can find round number 1 on TikTok, on Instagram, on probably even Facebook. Also from Wu-Tang is For the Children. It was a bad news day for Trump. Started in New York City with being found liable in E. Jean Carroll's second defamation case, and now that case in New York City is just a matter of how much money's Trump going to have to pay to her. Employee number 4, Vucil Tavares, has apparently made a deal with the special counsel and has agreed. He's struck a deal to cooperate with the special counsel and has agreed to testify. He'll be implicating Nada D'Alveria
to erase
and
incriminating security camera footage.
President of the United
Details
States
coming
Donald
out.
Trump for, as you heard Wolf Blitzer say there, attempting to erase security footage that will be used against them now in court. So not a good news day for Trump. Also in Atlanta, or in Fulton County, Georgia, the first hearing today, it was a hearing to try to recuse Sidney Powell and Kenneth Cheeseborough, 2 of the 19 defendants in the RICO case in Fulton, Georgia, for racketeering, trying to influence an election, and the conspiracy to do so. Those 2 wanted their cases heard separately because they had both requested a speedy trial, and thinking that 19 defendants may not be such a speedy trial. And their motion was denied. So they are still part of the 19. And that was just the initial hearing. There are going to be many hearings before the actual trial begins. But all in all, no news of a good sort for the former president of the United States. Speaking of which, the judge who gave Enrique Tarrio 22 years is appointed by Trump. The FBI director who approved the Mar-a-Lago search is appointed by Trump. The judge who signed the warrant is appointed by Trump. The witnesses in Jack Smith's investigation are Republicans. This is no witch hunt. Your boy's just a criminal thug. All right, I don't know if I'd ended it that harshly, but it's deserving, and we keep repeating this in hopes that more and more people will wake up. You'll become woke to the fact that you were conned. It was a big lie, and it's time to get over it before any more harm's done to our country. Just saying, something to think about. This comes from the Municipal Patrol District, the 8th District of Michigan. Multiple patrol vehicles at the Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan State Police Post were lit on fire and struck by rifle rounds at approximately 3:30 a.m. this morning. Suspect still at large and described as a white male wearing camouflage. He was last seen driving a silver Honda CRV. And again, that was 3:30 this morning, some 14 hours ago, and that comes from the Michigan State Police. So be on the lookout if you're anywhere in the Sault Ste. Marie area for a white male in a silver Honda CRV. That may be the person that's setting police cars on fire up there. This next little bit comes from Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's a 34-second clip, and we're just going to let Marge talk for herself here.
People are not affecting climate change. You're going to tell me that back in the Ice Age, how much taxes did people pay, and how many changes did governments make to melt the ice? The climate is going to continue to change, and there is no...
Okay. I apologize for that. Hold on just a second. I'm doing a show. I got to call you back. I apologize. Marjorie Taylor Greene and Kate. Let's just listen to it one more time here.
People are not affecting climate change. You're going to tell me that back in the Ice Age, how much taxes did people pay?
People paid zero taxes back in the Ice Age. Just to be clear, not a lot of people in the Ice Age, no tax collectors.
And how many changes did governments make to melt the ice?
They made no changes to melt the ice back in the Ice Age. There were no governments. This is a congressperson.
The climate is going to continue to change.
That part's right.
And there is no reason to just open up our borders and allow everyone in and continue to funnel over $50 billion or however.
Okay. Actually, more than likely, it'll probably work the other way around, and we'll end up closing our borders off, and we won't be able to get out of the country. Because if it plays out the way some climatologists are saying it will, if you are if you're above the 34-degree mark on as far as latitude or longitude, I'm sorry, if you're at the 34-degree mark, it's probably going to be frozen the next ice age, and not much inhabitable area to the south of that. So that kind of cuts right across the middle of the United States. And there wouldn't be enough room in the United States for all the American citizens to live in the area that would be habitable. And we would have to be the migrants. Just something to consider when you're filling yourself full of hate next time. Okay, time for a little bit of humor. We got about 14 minutes until Chris comes on, unless something's happened and we don't have him on, which is always a distinct possibility. He's a busy dude with a lot of stuff going on. This is called Wakey Wakey. Just a little short, humorous, something I found humorous. I can see Doofus Dog doing to me if had to potty, and I was totally unresponsive to numerous attempts to try to wake me otherwise. Come on, get up. I got to pee. Yeah. So, yeah, just a little bit of humor there on a wild, wicked, over the hump Wednesday. Burning Man Festival. We've touched on what happened out there. 70,000 people at one time were stranded, 60,000 people now stranded and potentially on their way out. This is an image that was going on out there while the storms were happening. This almost looks like it should be a an apocalyptic movie. Firestorms starting gust nados, minor little dust up tornado-ish, based upon the different pressures caused by the big fires and by the storms coming in and the unusual air pressure to begin with during the storms. But this is just a fascinating piece of video, and the fact that people are standing out there as it's blowing glowing ambers all throughout the ground gives you an idea of what Burning Man was like at one point anyway. I got a couple other things to give you an idea what Burning Man was like. At the concert, a dude throws a glass of urine into the crowd. This is the kind of people that you're going to be dealing with anytime you're in one of those things. Somebody saw what happened, was not appreciative of it, informed others what the dude had done. And when you have 70,000 people and there are no cops, things like this happen and they escalate quickly. And this is just a reminder that there are some times when your self-awareness, your self-privilege, possibly, may think that you can get away with anything. This is just a reminder that every once in a while, if you FA, UFO. Just saying. Okay. Burning Man attendees are leaving the festival. Huge traffic jam formed in the desert. About 60,000 people were blocked in the festival due to rains. According to the police, that is in the territory where the event was held. They are at a snail's pace, slowly moving out. Again, this was yesterday, late afternoon, and as you can see, getting out there, getting out of the place once there is a road prepared, a road across the desert prepared, away from the mud. Getting out of there was not going to be an easy or fun task. A lot of road rage, a lot of frustration there, I'm sure. Kim Jong-un is going to be arriving in Vladivostok sometime this month for talks with Putin. I had a report it was today. It was not today. This comes from New York Times. During the talks, the parties intend to discuss the supply of artillery shells and anti-tank missiles from North Korea. And this is just a reminder that we still have a major conflict going on in Syria. With everything else that's happening, we often lose track of that, but there is still a major conflict in Syria, and a very dangerous conflict at that. Also, a reminder that we have Nazis in the United States, and they were in Orlando, Florida, and Altamont Springs, Florida, this past weekend. And in each time we see them, their force grows bigger. Again, this is something I think we ought to all be aware of, and possibly be prepared to deal with. There was an interview going on. One final little humorous thing here before we get. This is a bear seeing itself in a mirror in the woods. I'm sorry, I gotta run this back. Here we go. Bear comes up, just walking through the woods, and all of a sudden he sees, whoa, what? And of course, you got to stomp on it once you get it tore off. All right. So all that being said, that's our X scroll for the day, and I got done pretty close to on time. Chris is here. Hi, Chris. How are you doing, my man? You all right?
Yeah, hanging in there. How about yourself, Barry?
I'm doing the same. Hanging in there. Hanging in. Hello to everybody. Sandy Foster, Lori Arnold. Hello. Who else is in here? Let me run up the chat real quick here. See if anybody else is in here. Hello, hi Nancy. Okay. And not going away. Thank you always for everything you do. All right, Chris. Let's just start with Haiti.
Okay. So we talked last time we talked about Haiti. We talked about the international mission going to Haiti, and Kenya, I think, was supposed to take the lead on this,
Mm-hmm.
along with some other Caribbean nations. And Haiti sent a delegation to do like what we call leaders recon to find out exactly what's needed and how they can best implement um, how
Mm-hmm.
they can best serve the Haitian people. And a lot of the Haitian people come out saying, hey, we don't want you here just because of past interventions, and they just really don't fare very well.
They haven't worked.
Right. Yeah. Bottom line, right?
Yeah.
So, you have the community coming out and saying, hey, don't come here because we don't want you. The Haitian government, the United States government, yes, we want you in here to fight the gangs. I think after the recon or the them going down there, I think they kind of said, hey, you know what? We're not going to be training or working with the Haitian National Police. This is the last thing I read. They're not going to be training or working with the Haitian National Police, but they'll be protecting the infrastructure of the country, especially in Port-au-Prince.
Wow.
Because and like I said, them going to Haiti and battling the gangs,
Mm-hmm.
that's like mission impossible. I think last week we talked about irregular warfare
Yes.
versus conventional warfare,
Right.
and how this is all population centric, right? The community is the center of gravity, and if you use conventional forces that don't know how to deal with irregular warfare, it's just gonna be a total waste of time, and you're gonna lose. But furthermore, you have the possibility of what we call civilian casualties, because if you do joint missions together, okay, and sometimes the engagements, of course, are going to be kinetic because you're fighting with gangs, but those bullets travel, and if you miss your intended target and it's civilian, what we call civilian casualties, then that's going to turn the community, of course, against the Haitian government, and then also the Kenyans. All right. And Jimmy Barbecue Shares A had already come out and said, hey, look, yeah, you can come here, but if there are any like abuses against any of the Haitians, we're just going to basically turn up on you,
Right.
and that's going to be it. All right. So that's one of the biggest considerations you have right there. But the other consideration is, and this, you're not going to see this reported anywhere, that the G9, which Jimmy Barbecue Shares A is head of, and then another gang are actually coming together to form a truce, which, of course, the Haitian government and the United States government doesn't want, because that right there is kind of like nullifying what they're going in for, is to wipe out the gangs because of the gang violence. You see.
Mm-hmm. And the gangs are now like, it's kind of like the movie Warriors. The gangs realize if the gangs quit fighting each other and they unite, they have all of the power.
Exactly. And see, and with that, this is where they could easily overthrow
Yeah.
the government of Haiti. Because, like, really, even when I was down there in Haiti, I was like, man, I'm like, this government is like really easy to take over. If they really want to overthrow the government, it's really easy. So if they want to have a coup, all they really have to do is get those gangs together to become one. The Haitian government, the police, that's an internal security. They're outmanned and outdone.
Yeah.
Okay,
I knew
and
they could.
right, and what can happen, and that they can easily overpower the government, and uh, maybe Jimmy Barbecue Cherizet could end up actually being the leader of Haiti.
Wow. Okay.
That's
I just want to point out, I've got up on the screen. This is from WPLG, Southern Florida, their local 10 station. Message for U.S. citizens in Haiti is leave ASAP. So they are continuing to put that message out that it's not safe for Americans to stay in Haiti. Uh,
yeah,
is
yeah,
is the
yeah.
is the reason because I've got some emails. Why do you guys talk about Haiti? And and the significance is just like with Cuba, just like with other Caribbean countries, the proximity to the United States and the fact that if the United States influence isn't there, it opens it up to Russia or China, just like Cuba and other areas of the Caribbean. Is that correct?
Exactly, and that's why Haiti is so important to the United States. Okay,
Hmm.
I'm sure everyone's heard the Monroe Doctrine
Right.
before. So that was the Monroe Doctrine was basically put in place so um, other countries
Other
couldn't come in,
colonizers wouldn't come into
and take
Central
it
or
over.
Southern America.
Right,
If
exactly.
anybody's
So
colonizing it, it's going to be us.
exactly, and no one else is coming in. But now, um, the United States is pissed off a whole bunch of people,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
And because they pissed people off, and I remember Jimmy Barbecue Cherizet had sat there and said, we don't want the United States here, and he's kind of like leaning towards Russia. Okay,
Mhm.
so uh, even like when I dealt with our government and I talked about this, I said, look, man, either you're going to deal with this dude Jimmy Barbecue Cherizet now, or you can deal with him later. But one way or the other, you're going to deal with him.
And now he's more powerful and possibly even too powerful, has too much power to be
Right,
dealt with.
right, and see that's and they kept saying, well, he's a gang member and he's killed people, and I'm just like, look, okay, there's micro thinking, and then there's macro thinking.
Right.
Micro thinking is okay, yes, he's killed people, but it's not like these people are innocent civilians. These are other gang members. Okay, so it's kind of like that's business, and that's how I look at it. It's not like he's going out and just shooting just civilians.
Right.
These are other gang members you know, trying to kill him, so he's shooting back to defend himself and doing what he has to do. I mean, I don't. I mean, that's the only real way I can put it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want to seem like I don't want to seem like it like I'm condoning somebody,
Being a mass
murdering.
murderer.
Right. That's not what I'm saying. All right. So, but you have to look at the big picture, and the big picture stability.
And the big picture is this guy plays by a different set of rules than 99.9% of the people in the world.
Right. Right. And the thing about it is you have to look at the big picture. The big picture stability. And if this guy can like bring a certain stability to the country, why wouldn't you utilize that?
Yeah.
Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Of course it makes sense. We've done, and it makes sense because we've done it so many times in so many other areas. Why wouldn't we be
Right.
doing it as close to home? I've got the map up. Uh, Port-au-Prince is obviously the biggest city in Haiti, and I don't think people understand how densely populated it is.
Oh yeah, Port-au-Prince. There's tons and tons of people. But remember we talked about the whole community support thing, right? I wanted to bring up El Chapo. You remember El
I
Chapo
do
from?
remember El Chapo.
Okay,
Yeah.
so here's how this whole community support thing works, and we talked about the loyalty last time. Even though El Chapo was one of the biggest drug traffickers in Mexico, he had community support. Was he was doing everything the government of Mexico or whatever state he was living in was not doing for the populace, right? So he was actually building the infrastructure, for the people, building roads, okay, hospitals. He was giving them food. He was giving them jobs, providing security for these people, right? Things that the government did not do. So therefore, the government was like, "Hey, this guy's not too bad. He's pretty good," you know. So if you have someone doing all that stuff for you and the government's not doing anything for you, you think you're going to turn a blind eye to his criminal activity because he is helping you out where the government is not.
Yeah.
You see?
Hmm.
And I can apply that pretty much anywhere because that's the basis of unconventional warfare. All right. Going that community support.
And we risk if if the gangs take over Haiti, the gangs in Jamaica see that, the gangs in Puerto Rico see that, correct?
Yes. Yes. It's almost like it's a domino effect,
Right.
right?
So that's why this initial point, that's why we're spending so much time on this, is because it is so significant.
Right. And United States, I remember they said, we have subject matter experts on gang warfare down there that can, you know, we're going to teach the Haitians how to defeat the gangs. I'm like, all right, so you have SMEs down there, subject matter experts
Right.
on gang warfare. I'm like, well, you have all these gangs here in the United States. You can't fix the problem here. What makes you think you're gonna fix the problem down there? That makes absolutely no sense to me.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah. I mean, and so basically what, it could even get to the place where the Latin Kings, the Crips, the Bloods, uh, the whoever, the Proud Boys, all get together and go, "Hey, let's run this country the way it should be run."
Right. Actually, because guess what? Guess what they
That's what
are? They're
that
all
on a small scale. That's what's happening in Haiti. Just to kind of
right.
right
And we talked about armed non-state actors. That's exactly what these criminal elements are.
NGAs, non-government actors,
Right. They're we call them armed non-state actors.
armed non-state actors. Okay.
Yes. All right. So that those gangs down there are the equivalent to the Crips and the Bloods and the Latin Kings right here in the United States. They're the same thing. There's no difference.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, right? We talked about the support for this guy, Jimmy Barbecue Sherzay. The current president of Colombia, prior to him becoming the president of Colombia, he was a member of an armed non-state actor group, right?
Yeah.
Right. So now, he's president, and of course the United States is like, well, we don't want to support him. I'm like, well, guess what? The United States is supporting him now because they don't want China, Russia coming in there, right?
Yeah.
It's just look, man, this you may not like it, but they're always the United States is always talking about human rights. Well, China and Russia don't care about that. Okay, we're the ones that care about it, and China and Russia are like, well, we'll give you everything that the United States isn't going to give you because they're concerned about human rights,
Which is what they did in Iran.
Yeah. You see?
Yeah.
So it's just like, hey, you know what? United States government needs to change up some things so they can be a little bit more successful with dealing with these foreign governments. And we're trying to stay on top. So you can't keep doing the same thing you've been doing for the past 20, 30, 40, 50 years and expecting the same results.
Yeah.
As I said before, we're no longer the big boys, the big dogs on the block. We're now competitors.
And we're not used to that.
No.
And we don't,
No.
we really, our State Department, our bureaucrats, if you will, aren't trained towards that.
Right. These are conventional inside the box
Right.
thinking people. That's what they know. That's how they're trained, and they don't deviate. So when you get someone like me, who's an outside the box type guy, they're looking at me like, well, we can't do that. That's against policy. Well, let's just do an exception to policy so we can get our mission accomplished.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like that,
Yeah.
but
Oh, yeah.
they don't feel it like that. So, but going back to the end state, um, it's the big picture. What's the big picture? The big picture is stability. And like I said, if Jimmy Barbecue shares he didn't have to be president, but he can be part of the cabinet, right? Because stability actually comes from the grassroots.
Yeah.
Okay, if you want a stable government, the community has to support it no matter what, and the community is obviously supporting these gangs because if the community didn't support the gangs wouldn't exist.
And
So
the gangs are taking care of things that the government's not.
right, so and then also we talked. I don't know if we talked about the humanitarian aid. So you have a lot of NGOs in Haiti.
Non-government organizations.
Right, right. And they're out delivering or trying to deliver the humanitarian assistance, but they can't get past those gang members, because there's access points, entry points,
Choke points.
right, right. So like they can't get in. And I made this suggestion. I'm like, well, why don't you start dealing with these gang leaders, even though you may not want to or like it, but you have a mission, and your mission is to get the humanitarian assistance to the people in the community, right?
Mm-hmm.
Heck, you could even give it to the gang leaders or accompany the gang leaders and have the gang members distribute
Right.
humanitarian assistance, right?
Right.
And see what it
They're
does.
going to do it one way or the other. Why not
Right,
provide quality stuff for them to give to the people?
right. But furthermore, the gang leaders could be like, hey, all right, we're gonna let these guys through, let them do what they have to do. We'll just support them. We'll use the community to give them their security. We're
Right.
not gonna touch each other. And they can go out and deliver what they have to deliver because the government can't do it. You see what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah, I do. Comment from Lori Arnold. Gangs leading a country sounds dangerous. It does.
Okay, well,
But
here's the thing.
a corrupt government leading a country is also
It,
dangerous.
they're people don't play, should we say, don't just look into the word gang. Okay, I could easily said community leaders or power brokers.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. One person's gangs, another person's community organizer.
Right. So even let's talk about the Crips. Do you know like the acronym for like Crip? You know what that was an acronym. It stood for Community Resource for an Independent People.
Mm.
So that whole Crip entity, that whole Crip gang was there to protect the people. I mean, it spread out to be something completely different, but that was a homegrown, community-based type entity to protect
Protect
their
the
community.
community.
The same thing the gangs, well, that's what the gangs should be doing down in Haiti. But I think Barbecue Cherizé, his gang does that. You see,
Mm-hmm.
his gang does that. I don't know about all the rest, but his gang does that.
So,
You see,
a correlation would be possibly Robin Hood, that he's looked at as Robin Hood was looked at in the European mythology, that Cerizet is taking from the corrupt and giving to the people.
right? So and something, but the thing about is, when they want to what we call it character assassination, make you to be the bad guy. Here's the thing: sometimes the bad guy is actually the good guy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think people have to realize that anytime you see other governments start to demonize someone, you need to take a look at that individual and make sure that that's really that's really not the bad guy. That's actually the good guy.
Yeah.
Because of what he stands for against a corrupt government. You see?
Mm-hmm. I do. Exactly. All right. Let's touch on a couple other things that are going on around the world. I've got a report that Azerbaijan is about to attack Armenia.
That was been going on for
It's been going on for a few months anyway.
Yeah. So that is not, to me, that's nothing new, but maybe to your audience, that's something new. But guys kind of like fall on that. And I'm just like, okay, well, I didn't understand what the beef was between these two.
Yeah.
And I still don't.
They're both
Um,
former
so
members of the Soviet Union.
Yep.
They're both allied with Russia.
Mm-hmm.
They're both Muslim, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So,
well, Armenia was actually the first Christian country. That I'm pretty sure was the first Christian nation that came about. As a matter of fact, I was just talking to some guy from Armenia.
but that makes sense, with the Eastern Orthodoxy and
Right.
how and spreading, Christianity spreading up from Israel through Greece to that's the obvious projection, the obvious progression, and somebody's
Right.
gonna have to, have a state.
Right. So I just, matter of fact, just found that out no longer than a week ago because I had no idea. So, that was Armenia was actually the first Christian nation in the world.
Okay. Also, I mentioned last week about the doomsday planes.
Yes.
We've the past 2 days we've had doomsday planes in the air, and we've also had nuclear attack option messages being broadcast.
Okay, so when you start seeing that stuff, then you need to really start paying attention.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I've been like seeing things about Russia is wanting to strike us.
Yeah.
And nuclear strikes. So pay attention to all that because I remember I guess that was last year. They something in New York City about a dirty bomb.
Right. Yes.
And they were talking about a dirty bomb going off, and I was like, okay, but like they were just like broadcasts
out of the blue. New York puts out a public service announcement about what to do in case of a dirty bomb in New York City.
Right, and I'm just like, well, obviously there's a dirty bomb.
Yeah.
Floating around,
Yeah.
But they want to scare the people.
Right.
So, they had to, they can't put stuff out directly. So, so it's kind of like they'll put stuff out, but there'll be little short things, and like the public service announcements will try to not scare the people.
Right.
Not make them panic. But I'm just like, okay, well, there's obviously something out there because when have they ever put a public service announcement out there like that? They haven't. So that's a real anomaly to the baseline. You see?
Yeah.
So it's just like, all right. So and what you're saying, right now, about them talking about the nuclear strikes. Well, yeah, you're seeing that, and that's an anomaly to the baseline. So when you start seeing stuff like that, now it's time to pay attention.
Yeah, this was from 2 days ago. We had a nuke sniffer. We had a presidential doomsday plane along with a stratotanker that was doing in-air refuels to keep the plane up longer, which to me says that they are, they're making loops in an area that is probably halfway between a potential destination, which would be, I assume, Washington, D.C. to pick the president up, or somewhere nearby, possibly Wright Pat, and their home base. So they're either engaged or returned to base, and they're kind of just doing loops in the area halfway between is the way I'm interpreting this. They were up again today. A command and control plane was also up with the. Let me cut to that. This is today a command and control plane. The presidential plane did loops around Indiana and Illinois, and the command and control plane flew straight to the Pacific coast and went up and down the coast. And I don't know. It's again, talking about here. here's some of the messages that were intercepted as far as the nuclear attack options being broadcasted, and there were like 25 messages of 140 characters, and usually the messages are like 20 or 30 characters, especially in when there's not activity. So just kind of connecting dots. I hate to say that and use that, but kind of connecting dots. We should probably be aware that there's a potential for something to happen, because it seems like military leadership's aware that there's a potential for something to happen.
Of course. I mean, they've known that. I mean, um, Putin has been talking about that for the
Right.
longest time. So,
Right.
like I said, he's pretty much a man of his word. So you need to
Seems
really
to me, Prigozhin found that out.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Actually, I didn't think I really didn't think that it was true, but obviously it is.
It sure seems like it, unless it was a body double that they offed and he pops up somewhere. But
Yeah,
he's only
I,
got he's only got 4 or 3 fingers on one hand. So
oh really?
yeah, so he did have doubles, but they all had 4 fingers.
Oh
None
wow.
of them would cut their finger off for him. Let me see if I got anything else here we need to touch on. China's issued a warning about us being involved. We're sending more weapons to Taiwan, and they don't like that.
Yeah, that's I mean that's um just kind of like that's regular
Yeah.
stuff.
Um,
I don't know if you want to go into talk about Africa
yeah, I
and
do. Soon as
okay.
supposedly a Russian drone struck Romania.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The first report was Romania denied it, but there was so much social media evidence that it was on Romanian territory that they're now saying, yeah, apparently we found fragments that could be um, a drone from Russia. So that could trigger
Article
Article
5,
5.
possibly. I mean,
I
but
mean,
it's
I
just a
wouldn't
drone.
think it would. I think that'd
Yeah.
be minor, and but if somebody out there is wanting war, and I think Poland might be wanting war.
Well,
I don't know.
you could be careful
Be
what you wish
careful
for.
what you wish for, no doubt. The Great Wall of China. Have you heard about this?
No, go ahead.
2 workers, um, instead of driving to the place where they could get their excavator to the other side, decided to do a shortcut and use the excavator and knocked down a portion of the Great Wall of China. Let me see if I got a picture of the people. Yeah, here we go. Hold on a second. Let me pull this up. Um, I found that to be just insane. People carving their initials on the Colosseum in Rome, not realizing how old it was.
Come on. That's come on. Didn't they get locked up for that?
Yeah, they did. But here they took their excavator and bulldozed part of the Great Wall of China, so they could a large gap created in an ancient section of the Great Wall of China, um, in an image distributed by local police. And the Great Wall of China construction was started in 220 BC. So uh, it's not like you're going to be able to repair that one too easily.
No. That's a shame that actually occurred.
Yeah, it is.
And people don't use their brains
It's crazy.
like they should be used, and they just destroy stuff. But that's today's society. No one's got a brain anymore.
Yeah, a couple of comments now that I'm back over here in where the comments are. Divinely Aware said corrupt police are gangs too.
Yeah, yeah, true. Yeah.
And Hoodpecker says, do you think Russia, China, and North Korea can fire missiles at us all at the same time?
Of course they can.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
they can.
of course
Yeah.
they can.
And
Now, where they impact or not is something completely different. But can they? Of course they can.
yeah, and that's the other thing. You know, when and if it does happen, if they're saying, okay, a missile's heading towards, let's say, just say Indianapolis, Indiana. There's a missile
Right.
heading towards Indianapolis. There's no, if you're within 100 miles of Indianapolis, you're basically screwed because there's no guarantee it's going to hit on Indianapolis.
Right. Exactly. And like, your audience, do they know like when a nuclear missile hits, it doesn't hit the ground.
Right.
It actually explodes.
I'm
I'm
actually going to do I'm going to do an episode this week, and I'm going to try to have it up by Friday, talking about the difference between a dirty bomb, a ground explosion, an aerial blast, and nuclear reactor meltdown. The four possible, yeah. So, yeah, I'm going to get that out there this week because all of them are possible.
Yes.
Any one of the closer you are to a military target or to a missile silo, the more likely you're going to have a ground impact. Closer you are to a big city, the more likely you're going to have an air impact.
Very, very true, and that's very true.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Africa a little bit.
Yeah, let's go to Africa. So last time I spoke to you about Nigeria, right?
Right.
And the election and the tribunal. So today the tribunal came back and they upheld Bola Tinubu's his victory, right?
Right.
But it was obviously it was slanted, right? So the Supreme Court in Nigeria has already ruled about the 25% rule in the Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria, which is Abuja, and saying that you had to have like 25%
of that main area,
right? To be actually considered to be president. And the Tinubu did not receive that, but the tribunal today said that was irrelevant.
That he's the president.
Yeah, they said that's irrelevant, but that's part of the Constitution that you have to have that 25% that to actually become president, and he never obtained that. And the tribunal said, well, that's irrelevant. So okay, so now what you have is a miscarriage of democracy in Nigeria. But I don't think the people were really surprised at that. But what I do see happening, because of the issues in Nigeria, and I remember he was a former president of Nigeria. His name was Obasanjo. He's a former president and also a former military general. He's like this. All right, look, democracy is not working for us here on the continent of Africa. It is not. And what he's proposing to do is get all leaders in Africa together to come up with a different solution on how to run their countries, because he's saying that democracy is not working. And
they don't have a long history of democracy. For those that don't know, on the African continent, it's been kings and
right. So it's really a new concept, because Nigeria was only like 1960.
Yeah.
So it's really a new country, to a certain extent. And of course, the British and all these colonizers want to influence how they bring their governments to them, right? And I'm like this. I'm like, well, democracy is not for everyone. Okay, everybody thinks it is, but it really isn't. Some people are better governed by other forms of government. Democracy is not for everyone, but that's what we see. That's what we're taught here in the United States,
Right.
right? And that's what we push to other governments, but it does
And
not.
we're struggling with it ourselves.
Right. So I mean, not like I said, not every country is geared for that. And I think now, like I said, former President Obasanjo and he's actually the biggest power broker on the continent of Africa. This guy is big time. And what he's doing is, he said he wants to get all the leaders together on the continent to come together and find out a way, to get away from this democracy, because there's been like 5 different coups,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's showing that this democracy is not working. You see, so back on Nigeria, it's showing, there's also no democracy in Nigeria. So what I think I told you this last time. These people are pissed off.
Oh,
Okay?
yeah.
Even like the last time I was in Nigeria was in 2019. And they're like, Chris, we're tired of this stuff. It's really hard here. We don't have anything. What do you suggest we should do? I mean, I had ideas, but I'm not going to sit there and tell them.
Right.
Right? But now I think they're going to come to the conclusion of like, look, man, something's got to change, because we can't keep living like this. It's ridiculous. So eventually, like I said, this tribunal, even though they upheld it for Tinubu, still goes to Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has the final say so on what the rulings are going to be.
Yeah.
So if the Supreme Court goes against the tribunal and they put Obi into office, that would be like really, really big.
Yeah.
Because the Supreme Court went against other judges,
Yeah.
and normally judges all stick together. So because they're all attorneys. But even I was listening to some of the other attorneys, and they're talking about the 25% rule in FCT, and they're like, yeah, you must have 25% votes to actually be declared president in Nigeria. But the tribunal said, well, it doesn't. It's irrelevant. Like, all right, now you're gonna piss these people off.
Yeah.
And you have to consider there's going to be a backlash behind this when it's obvious that someone has won. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Because it's kind of divided north and south.
Well, it's divided north and south, but a lot of those judges, even though they're supposed to be impartial, they're also aligned with political,
of course,
groups, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
a lot of them are aligned with Tinubu's political, group, right? So you have to be concerned about that. But it's supposed to be impartial, but it's really not. So eventually, the youth are really angry, and then you have to worry about those armed non-state actors in the South that are Igbo, because I remember they already sat there and said, if this guy's denied his mandate, guess what?
We're going to rise up.
They're going to have some problems.
Yeah.
Now they already burned down, I think, the Chief Justice's home in Nigeria. Like the people are starting. This is just the beginning of it.
Right.
It's going to get worse.
And as it looks like Gabon is kind of okay with their changing government. There hasn't been a big uprising there.
Right. No, they're satisfied with it.
Niger, their concern is getting the French out. Right.
And I think the last thing I read was some of the French had started to leave. Right. But it wasn't like everyone was going to go. Right. And they're talking about, this thing could still go to war. And it's just like, Why would you want to go to? I mean,
Yeah.
I get it. I understand why France wants to go.
Yeah.
Because they want that uranium. That's what they want to help them in France. But here's the thing: if all those francophone countries were to turn against France, France would be shut down because France really needs those francophone countries on the continent of Africa to survive. That's where they get all the natural resources from to 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 uh, to help build. You're not build a country, but help their country survive. You see, they get all those natural resources
Oh yeah.
from it.
Yeah. It's like 100% of the uranium that runs the nuclear power plants in France come from Niger.
Africa, right? Everything's coming out of Africa.
Yeah.
And if think if those francophone countries in Africa cut France off, France would be done.
Yeah. Okay. Macron just said that they are enforcing, I believe it's called a bias. Is that how you say it? The dress the Muslim women wear?
Oh, okay. So like the hijabs,
Yeah.
yeah, they're gonna but yet they talk about freedom of speech and all sorts of other stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, but
They
how
they
you
can't wear these anymore.
okay? So and we talked about the last thing was the Charlie Hebdo thing, right?
Yeah.
And we talked about the respect.
Mm-hmm.
Like so why now why now are these females not permitted to wear the hijabs?
Right.
They've had them for forever. Why would you change it up now? Are you doing this just to mess with them?
That's why I brought it up. Is this France just messing with the Muslims? Because that sure doesn't sound like a good idea.
Yeah, it's just like why would you do you want problems? Because if that's what you're looking for, these Muslims will give them to you. These
Yeah.
no, you want problems? Well, we'll cause you problems.
Yeah.
And we'll punish you so much that you will change what you said back to what it was. You see?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why they keep messing with you. Why they keep messing with the Islamic population. They're there. If they're assimilated into the community, why would you keep messing with them? It's like you're picking a fight. But what's your rationale behind it?
And the French aren't known as fighters. They're
Right. But the Islamists are,
the Islamists.
and they will take it to you, and they will take it to you.
Yeah.
You keep. It's like you keep rattling. You got a caged tiger, or you keep rattling. You got a stick, and you run up and down. His
Yeah.
cage, trying to agitate him, and then he gets out and he bites you, right, and tears you apart. Then you want to complain.
Yeah.
But leave them alone. I mean, if they're really doing something, okay, yeah, clamp down on them. But if they're not, just peace.
No use poking the bear.
Right, peace.
Yeah.
So it's so easy. But I don't know. I don't know what the rationale behind it is.
All right. Well, we know we've got Russia and China in Cuba. We're watching Haiti because the potential, if we are not involved there, Russia or China will be.
That'll be the vacuum. And Sherzai already sat there and said, he kind of likes Russia. So the United States better be careful.
All right. All right. You'll be back with us next Wednesday, barring, anything massive happening.
Yeah, of course.
All right, man. Look forward to it as always.
Thank you.
Anything to end with?
No. Yeah, we pretty much covered everything. But once again, I want to say, thank you for having me on your show.
Oh, I greatly appreciate your expertise and your knowledge and your friendship, my man.
Always.
All right. We'll see you next Wednesday.
All right, now.
Thank you.
Okay.
And thank you. Thank you all for watching. Thanks for clicking on. Not your normal YouTube show. This is the real stuff. And I looked down at Not Going Away's comment. Yeah, look, you need to know where the nuclear and we'll talk about this. We'll have an episode about this, where the nuclear plants are, where the military bases are, um, where the missile silos are. These are things people don't normally think about. That your proximity to these things will greatly impact in the event of the unthinkable. But it can't be unthinkable anymore. There are too many provocateurs. Um, uh, it was mentioned above: Russia, China, North Korea, um, potentially Iran. Who knows if if one of our friends suddenly is inclined to go along with Russia, China, and um, could be India, could be France. Who knows? But the world is our country is in a perilous time and a tenuous place. The world is one lit match away from a massive global fire. One mistake by a key player, and a lot of dominoes tumble. So it's always a good idea to make sure you've got some extra water, you got some extra food, you've got some emergency radio, a flashlight, um, food for your animals if you have pets, medicine if you're going to need it. And, it used to be 3 days, 10 days. If you are anywhere in the country, all right, I'm not trying to scare people. I'm just going to be real with you real quick here. All right. Anywhere in the United States, it doesn't matter if a nuclear bomb lands within 100 miles of you, fallout, radiation is going to impact the entire country in the event of a large scale nuclear attack. It doesn't matter where you are, you're going to have to deal with it. So, having a little knowledge gives you a little power. And we're going to do that in upcoming episodes. I thank you for being here tonight. If you got a question, email me at um, americandufus, all one word, AMERICANDUFUS at gmail.com. If you'd like to help support the show, the Cash App is $American Doofus. Once again, all one word, AMERICANDUFUS. If you're not a subscriber, consider doing so. We do a lot of different things. Every Wednesday, we do this. On the weekends, we show some music, live events if we can. And we have panels, we have guests, obviously. And I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you spreading the word. Help other people find us if you would consider doing so. So consider subscribing, sharing, liking, hit that like button. It's important. And namaste, shalom, shalom, assalamu alaikum. Blessings be upon you. Peace. Live long and prosper. Positive vibrations. Love you like chocolate chip cookies. It's a dark world. Try to be a light. Thanks for being here.